I was rummaging through the bottom drawer of my mom's dresser when I found it. A thick, dusty envelope marked Private Medical Records. My heart hammered as I ripped it open, expecting to find proof of the cancer that had stolen my life away for the past 2 years. Instead, what I found made my blood run cold. Inside were documents dated months apart, each one more damning than the last. Patient, Marlene Rivers. Condition, unremarkable. No signs of illness. All test results are within normal range. No further treatment necessary. Each line echoed in my head like a punch to the gut. My knees buckled and I sank to the floor, gasping for breath. My own mother had lied about everything. 2 years ago, when she first dropped the bombshell, I'd been on the verge of starting a new life. I had a job offer in Chicago, a tiny apartment lined up, and even a goodbye party planned. Sophie Lane had thrown it for me, insisting that I finally deserved to chase my dreams. But then Mom called me, her voice quivering. "Elena, I need you to come over. It's the doctor. It's bad." I rushed to her house, barely able to see through my tears. When she opened the door, she was wrapped in a blanket, her face pale and drawn. "They said it's stage 4, she whispered, her eyes glistening. "It's spread everywhere." I dropped my bags, feeling my heart shatter in my chest. "Mom, no," I sobbed, collapsing into her arms. "I'll stay. I'll take care of you." "Oh, sweetie," she said, stroking my hair. "I'm so scared. I don't want to die alone." Now, sitting on her bedroom floor, surrounded by evidence of her deception, her words echoed in my head. I don't want to die alone. The irony was sickening. The sound of her key turning in the lock snapped me back to reality. I shoved the papers back into the envelope and slid it under the bed, just as my mom walked in. "What are you doing in here?" Mom's voice was sharp, eyes narrowing. "Nothing," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just looking for my old hoodie." "In my bedroom?" Her tone was as icy as her stare. I forced a smile. "Yeah, you know how you love stealing my stuff." Her lips twitched, almost like she wanted to smile but couldn't quite manage it. "Well, hurry up. I need to rest. The chemo's been brutal." My stomach twisted. Chemo. The chemo that never happened. "Right," I said, backing out of the room, my eyes still glued to her. Did she know? Did she suspect that I knew? I stumbled down the hallway, my mind spinning. Had every tear she shed been a performance? Every cough, every wince, every frail, trembling hug? Was it all just an act? There was that time my mom had fainted in the middle of the grocery store, clutching her chest and gasping for air. I'd rushed her to the ER, barely able to breathe, convinced she was dying. But after hours of waiting, Dr. Patel came out looking confused. "All her vitals are normal. She's perfectly fine." She had gripped my hand, tears streaming down her face. "They're wrong," she insisted. "I know my body. Something is very, very wrong." I held her tight, guilt gnawing at my insides for ever doubting her. "I believe you," I whispered. But now, staring at the envelope under her bed, I couldn't believe a single word she'd ever said. I shut the door to my room and sank onto the bed, pressing my palms against my temples. How many times had I missed out on my life because of Mom's fake emergencies? How many nights had I canceled plans with Sophie, stayed in to rub Mom's back while she pretended to be in agony? I grabbed my phone and dialed Sophie. It rang twice before she picked up. "Elena, what's wrong?" "Sophie," I whispered, voice trembling. "I found something." "What?" Her tone sharpened. "Are you okay?" I swallowed, feeling bile rise in my throat. "She's not sick." "What?" "Mom, she's not sick," I said, the words tumbling out too fast. "I found her medical records. Everything's fine. She lied about the cancer. She lied about everything." There was a long silence. When Sophie finally spoke, her voice was cold, clipped. "I told you something was off. I told you, but you didn't believe me." "I know," I whispered, tears stinging my eyes. "I didn't want to believe it." "What are you going to do now?" "I don't know," I said, staring at the wall. "What am I supposed to do?" "Confront her," Sophie said without hesitation. "Get her to admit it." "But how?" Mom was a master at turning every confrontation into a sob story. Every time I tried to stand up for myself, she'd clutch her chest dramatically and start gasping for air. "Elena, I can't breathe. Help me." I shook my head, squeezing my eyes shut. "I can't do it right now. I need to think." "Fine," Sophie said. "But don't wait too long. You deserve your life back." We hung up, and I lay back on the bed, staring at the ceiling. My life back. Did I even know what that looked like anymore? Mom knocked on my door then, the sound sharp and demanding. "Elena, I need your help with something." I closed my eyes, the bitterness like acid in my mouth. "Coming," I said, forcing myself to get up. She was in the kitchen, leaning against the counter with a glass of water in hand. "I need you to go to the pharmacy and pick up my prescription. The pain meds." "What's it called?" I asked, keeping my voice even. Mom's eyes darted to the side. The usual, you know, the chemo meds." "Right," I said, feeling the fury burn in my veins. "I'll get it." I grabbed my keys and stormed out, slamming the door behind me. I wasn't going to the pharmacy. I was going to Dr. Patel's office. Mom had always made it sound like Dr. Patel was a villain, a heartless, dismissive doctor who barely looked at her chart and told her to get her affairs in order. But if what I'd found was true, then he was the only one who could confirm it. Inside the office, the receptionist frowned. "Elena, I didn't know your mom had an appointment today." "She doesn't," I said, forcing a tight smile. "I just need to ask Dr. Patel a question." A few minutes later, Dr. Patel appeared, looking puzzled. "Elena, is everything okay?" I swallowed, the bile rising in my throat. "I need to know if she ever had cancer." Dr. Patel's eyes softened. "Marlene? No, she's never been diagnosed with cancer. I remember she came in a few times complaining of vague symptoms, but every test came back clear. Why?" I pressed my lips together to keep from screaming. "She told me she had stage 4 cancer, that it had spread everywhere." His jaw tightened. "Elena, I'm sorry. I had no idea she was telling you that." I stumbled out of the office, gasping for air. The entire drive home was a blur. My head was spinning with every lie, every moment Mom had faked a symptom to keep me by her side. Every time she'd called me sobbing in the middle of the night, clutching her chest, insisting she felt a tumor growing inside her. It all started a year ago. I was on a rare date with Connor, our first night out in weeks. We were at a small Italian restaurant, candles flickering between us as Connor reached for my hand. "I've missed this," he said, his thumb stroking my knuckles. "Me too," I said, finally feeling like I could breathe again. But then my phone buzzed, and Mom's name flashed across the screen. "I have to take this," I said, already feeling the guilt sinking its claws into me. "Elena?" Mom's voice was a frantic sob. "I can't breathe. My chest, it's like a knife stabbing through me." "Oh my God," I said, standing up so fast I nearly knocked over the wine glass. "Mom, I'm coming." "No," she gasped, her breaths coming in ragged bursts. "I don't want to ruin your night. I'll just lay here and wait for it to pass. If it doesn't, well, I guess I'll see you in the morning. Maybe." Connor's face fell as I grabbed my coat. "I'm so sorry. It's my mom." "Again?" he said, his jaw tight. "Elena, we haven't had a night alone in months." "She's dying, Connor," I snapped. "What do you expect me to do?" "I expect you to realize she's manipulating you. I don't think she's as sick as she says," he said, but I was already out the door. When I got to Mom's house, she was lying on the couch, one hand draped dramatically over her forehead. "Elena," she said weakly, her eyes fluttering open. "You came." "What happened?" I said, dropping to my knees beside her. "Should I call 911? No, she said, patting my hand. "I'm okay now. It was just so scary. I thought I was having a heart attack." "But you're fine now?" I asked, staring at her. Her cheeks were flushed, her eyes clear. Not a trace of the supposed attack remained. "I'm fine now that you're here," she said, giving me a soft, fragile smile. "I just don't know what I'd do without you." That was how she did it. Every single time. If I went out with Sophie, Mom would call, whispering that she was feeling dizzy, that the room was spinning, that she might pass out any second. If I dared to take a weekend trip, she'd text me a photo of herself lying in bed, eyes puffy and red with a caption that read, "Wish you were here." She convinced me to drop my friends one by one. Sophie was too negative, Connor was too demanding, my coworkers were too selfish to understand the pain we were going through. "Elena, you're the only one who truly cares about me," she'd say, clutching my hand with her cold, bony fingers. "You're the only person I can count on." Soon, the only calls I got were from her. The only plans I made were with her. My life became a revolving door of midnight trips to the pharmacy, endless hours rubbing her feet, making her meals, listening to her endless litany of imaginary symptoms. And now, all those late-night emergencies, all those teary-eyed confessions of how scared she was to die alone were playing on a loop in my head, each one more fake than the last. I pulled into the driveway, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ached. She'd taken my life, my friends, my future, all for the sake of a lie. And now I had to go inside and face her. I sat in the driveway staring at the house. The place that had once been my safe haven now felt like a trap, a carefully constructed cage of lies and manipulation. Mom had stolen my life, my friends, my future. And for what? A sickness she never even had. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. Mom was in the living room, sprawled on the couch with a heating pad pressed to her stomach. "Elena, is that you?" she called out, her voice weak, a practiced whimper. "I think I need you to pick up my prescription. The pain meds." I clenched my fists, forcing myself to keep my tone even. "What meds are those again?" The ones Dr. Patel prescribed. You know, for the chemo," she said, her eyes darting away from mine. "The chemo's been brutal." I nodded, biting the inside of my cheek to keep from screaming. Chemo, right. The chemo that didn't exist. "Okay," I said. "I'll get them." As I turned to leave, something caught my eye. A shopping bag peeking out from behind the couch. I frowned. "Mom, what's that?" Her eyes flashed, but she quickly forced a smile. "Oh, just some supplies, for my treatments." I reached down and pulled the bag out. Inside was a receipt from a luxury spa across town, a full day of massages, facials, and a detox treatment. Dated the same day she'd told me she was at the hospital for chemo. My jaw tightened. "You went to a spa?" Mom's expression hardened. "Are you spying on me now? I can't believe you'd go through my things like that. I thought you trusted me." "I do," I said, my voice hollow. "I just thought, I thought you were too weak to go out." She pulled the blanket up to her chin, her eyes shimmering with crocodile tears. "I am weak, but I needed to feel like a human being again, Elena. Is that so wrong?" I swallowed, my throat tight. No, of course not. But as I walked away, her words echoed in my mind. The inconsistencies were piling up, one after another. 2 weeks ago, she'd claimed she was going to a doctor's appointment. I'd even driven her there and watched her shuffle inside, wrapped in a scarf and sunglasses. "I'll be a few hours," she'd said, her voice frail. 3 hours later, she called me from a cafe across town. "Elena, honey, can you pick me up? The appointment was exhausting." I'd arrived to find her sipping a caramel macchiato, laughing with a group of women her age. When she saw me, her expression darkened. "Oh, there you are," she said, clutching her stomach. "The nausea is unbearable." I'd driven her home, feeling like an idiot. But now, looking back, I saw it clearly. The flushed cheeks, the way she kept glancing at her friends, the way her smile faded the second I walked in. And the pills. How could I have missed it? The pain meds she was taking weren't even prescribed. I'd picked them up for her a dozen times, little white pills in an unmarked bottle. I grabbed the bottle from her nightstand now, turning it over in my hand. The label was peeling, the print smudged. When I opened it, I dumped a pill into my palm. It was a sugar pill, a goddamn sugar pill. I stormed back into the living room, my heart pounding. "Mom," I said, holding up the bottle. "What is this?" She blinked at me, her expression the perfect mix of innocence and confusion. "My medicine, you know that." "It's a sugar pill," I snapped, tossing it onto the coffee table. "You're not taking chemo meds, you're not taking pain meds, you're not even taking vitamins, you're taking sugar pills and lying to my face." Mom's lip quivered, her eyes filling with tears. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you trying to hurt me? I thought you loved me. Loved you, I said, my voice breaking. I gave up my entire life for you. My job, my friends, my boyfriend, all for a lie. She gasped, pressing a hand to her chest like I'd stabbed her. Elena, please. My heart, it's pounding. I feel dizzy. I can't breathe. Don't, I said, my voice a scream now. Don't you dare pretend to be sick right now. She recoiled, her tears drying up instantly. The helpless, frail look vanished, replaced by something colder. Sharper. Fine. Believe what you want, she said, her voice flat. But don't forget who was there for you when Dad left. Don't forget who raised you. I stared at her, chest heaving. I couldn't believe it. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. She was doubling down, weaponizing her own lies against me. You're sick, I whispered. You're sick and twisted. Maybe, Mom said, her eyes flashing, but you're the one who's all alone now. She stood up and walked out of the room, her steps steady, her back straight. No sign of weakness, no sign of pain, nothing but the echo of my own rage pounding in my ears. I sank onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. Everything was unraveling, and I was trapped inside the wreckage. I sank onto the couch, the weight of everything crashing down on me. The room felt suffocating, heavy with the smell of lies and despair. Mom's cold words still echoed in my ears. You're sick and twisted, she'd spat before walking away, leaving me alone in the wreckage she'd created. I knew I couldn't run from this anymore. I needed to confront her, face the darkness head on, even if it meant shattering the fragile bond we once had. I stood, wiping the tears that blurred my vision, and walked toward her bedroom. The door was cracked open, a faint glow escaping the edges. I took a deep breath and stepped inside. Mom was sitting on the bed, staring at the wall as if she could will the truth to disappear. Her face was pale, eyes rimmed red, not from real pain, but from the act she'd perfected over months of deception. Mom, I said softly. She turned slowly, a practiced, fragile smile on her lips. Elena, what a surprise. Come to check on your poor, dying mother? My heart clenched, but I held my ground. I'm done pretending, Mom. I know everything. Her smile faltered, replaced by a shadow of fury. What do you mean? I stepped closer, pulling the sugar pills from my pocket and setting them on the nightstand. These, the fake meds, the spa receipts, the calls from cafes instead of hospitals. You lied about cancer, about chemo, about every single thing. Her eyes narrowed, and for a moment, I saw something dark flicker inside them, a cold, ruthless glint I hadn't noticed before. I lied because I had to, because no one else would care for me the way you do. Care? I scoffed. You manipulated me, stole my life. I missed my chance with Connor. I lost my friends. I was a prisoner in your fantasy. Her voice dropped to a venomous whisper. You don't understand. I only did this because I love you too much to let you go. I felt bile rise in my throat. This isn't love. This is control, obsession. It's poisoning me. She stood up abruptly, face contorted in rage. How dare you accuse me of that? I sacrificed everything for you. I sacrificed too, my entire life, for a lie, I said, my voice trembling but fierce. She lunged toward me, eyes blazing. You're so selfish, Elena. You want to abandon me? After everything I've done? You think I enjoy this? Don't you dare walk away from me. I took a step back, fighting the urge to crumble. You didn't have to make me your prisoner. Her hands clenched into fists, trembling with fury and desperation. I'm sick. I'm dying. And the world doesn't care. Only you ever cared. I shook my head. You're not sick. You made it all up. You're the one who's hurting. For a moment, the mask cracked, and I glimpsed the broken woman beneath, the loneliness, the fear. But then the venom returned. I'll destroy you if you leave me. You belong to me. Tears streamed down my face, but I stood firm. No more lies. No more chains. She screamed, a raw, haunting sound filled with pain and rage. You'll regret this. I'm your mother. I'm the only family you have. And in that moment, I realized she wasn't just sick with lies. She was sick with a desperate need for control, a monstrous hunger that no love could ever satisfy. I turned away, my heart breaking but my spirit free. I'm done being your prisoner. The house felt colder as I walked toward the door, the past crumbling behind me. The door clicked softly behind me as I stepped out into the chilly evening air. The house, once a fortress of memories and love, now loomed like a haunted cage I had finally escaped. For the first time in what felt like forever, I breathed freely. But the air tasted bitter. I wasn't sure what awaited me beyond those walls, but I knew one thing. I was done living in the shadows of her lies. The drive away from my childhood home was quiet, a silence filled with memories both warm and searing. I thought about all the stolen moments, the birthdays I missed, the nights I canceled plans with friends, the endless apologies I made to myself for loving someone who never truly loved me back. Yet despite everything, a part of me still ached for her, for the mother who wasn't a monster, but a deeply broken woman, the woman who tried to hold on so tightly she forgot to let go. When I finally reached my apartment, I locked the door behind me and sank onto the couch. My phone buzzed, a message from Sophie. "How are you holding up?" I stared at the screen, then typed back slowly. "I'm free, but it hurts more than I thought it would." Minutes later, Sophie called. Her voice was soft but fierce. "You're stronger than you know, Elena. You took the first step to reclaim your life." I wiped my tears. "It feels like I'm standing in the ruins of everything I loved." "Sometimes," she said gently, "the ruins make way for something new." Days passed, and I slowly pieced my life back together. I reconnected with Connor, who, though hurt, understood once I finally told him the truth. He didn't blame me. He blamed her, the woman who had spun a web so tight it almost consumed me. I began therapy, unraveling the tangled threads of guilt and manipulation. Each session was painful, dredging up memories I wished to forget, but necessary if I was ever to heal. The hardest part was facing the silence that followed cutting ties with Mom. The void she left was deafening, like a wound that refused to close. But it was a silence filled with truth, raw, unfiltered, and real. One evening, as I sorted through a box of old photos, I found one of us from years ago. Mom smiling, her arm around me, genuine and warm. I held it close and whispered, "I miss who you could have been." A week later, a letter arrived. No return address, just Mom's handwriting on the envelope. My heart pounded as I tore it open. "Elena, I know you're angry. You think I destroyed everything. Maybe I did. But I did it all for us, you and I. No one else ever understood how much I loved you. I'm sorry you can't see that yet. Maybe one day you'll forgive me. Until then, I'll be here, waiting." A chill ran through me. The words were soft and sorrowful, but beneath them lurked the same poisonous obsession I'd known my whole life. She wasn't sorry, not truly. This was just another act, another manipulation to pull me back into her web. I folded the letter slowly, my hands shaking. Could I forgive her? Could I pretend this twisted love was real? The truth was, I didn't want to forgive her. Not yet. Not ever, maybe. But I wanted to believe I could move on, that I could heal and live my life on my own terms. That night, I looked at the ceiling, heart heavy but determined. I whispered into the darkness, "I'm done being your prisoner." But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. She would never let me go completely. The question now was, would I ever truly be free? Would you have forgiven your mom if she did this?